Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Daily Rates Live with the Mortgage Calculator. Give us a moment here to go live on all the different platforms, and then we'll get started. Go ahead and drop a comment there in the chat as you tune in. Today, we're going to be going through our actual mortgage rates, and then we're going to be talking about 1099 loans and doing a little deep dive into the amazing 1099 loan programs that we have. So it looks like we're live on all the platforms, so we'll go ahead and get it started. What we'll do is we'll take the chat off the screen for now, but go ahead and keep dropping comments in there, and you can drop any questions you have in the chat as well. So welcome, everyone. My name is Kyle Hershey. I am the COO of the Mortgage Calculator, joined here by our president, Nick Hershey, and our sales manager, Jose Gonzalez. We are a lender that specializes in non-QM loans. And what we do every weekday at 11 a.m. Eastern on this show is go through our actual live mortgage rates, and then we do a deep dive into a different loan type. And today's loan type is going to be 1099 loans. So Jose will pull up some great programs that we offer for that here shortly. But before we do that, let's go ahead and check out today's rates. So Nick, if you're ready, let's pull up the live rates and see what they are looking like today.
All right. So not too much activity here. A little bit of up, a little bit of down. So we're right about the same as we were before. But we will compare all the programs for today. It is July 25th, just after 11 a.m. So all of our standard programs have their initial rates here. We will compare the APR across the programs with the standard scenario. If you'd like a full breakdown of all the itemized fees that go into the APR, please get with our team members. We have over 300 loan officers to help you out. For our demo, we always set up a basic scenario. So we'll set up a standard single-family home. We'll set up a $500,000 purchase price, a $400,000 loan amount. So that equals a 80% loan to value, 20% down payment. We'll use an estimated 760 credit score and an estimated 40% debt to income ratio. So those are all the settings we have here. Let's check out the rates for today. All right, so the first option that most people think of when they think of a mortgage is a 30-year fixed conventional loan for a primary home. Rates for a standard program today come in at 6.49, final APR 6.815, just a touch higher than it was yesterday, I believe. And if for any reason our customer doesn't qualify for a conventional option, typically the next option we want to present is an FHA option. FHA allows more leniency on credit issues and a higher debt to income ratio. However, it does require upfront and yearly mortgage insurance. Rates today for FHA come in at 5.625, final APR 6.581. So notice if our customer qualifies for both and is willing to do the mortgage insurance, the FHA could be a good option. And our customers that need to use the FHA, definitely very comparable here to conventional to use the FHA. And moving on to our VA options. VAs only for eligible service members, active service members, and veterans. If you are eligible, these are amazing programs. Rates today come in at 5.875, final APR with standard funding fee 6.183. So notice if our customer qualifies for VA, it's definitely better than FHA and conventional when you compare them side by side there. So great option for our eligible vets. And the last standard option is our USDA option. So USDA is only eligible for the properties in USDA areas, usually rural areas of the country. If the property and borrower are eligible, it's a great option to consider. Rates today for USDA coming at 5.75, and with all the fees included, final APR of 6.5. So notice our customer, when comparing a USDA option, will typically be comparing to an FHA, which USDA is a touch cheaper than, and comparing it to conventional, which USDA is going to be a touch cheaper than as well. So a great option for the properties that do qualify. Now, if our customer doesn't qualify for any of these standard agency government options that any other bank or lender has, they may have to deny that customer. That's where we love to present our 5,000 additional options, starting here with our non-QM alt doc for a primary home. So if our customer doesn't qualify for a conventional option using standard tax returns, etc., we can use alternative docs. Rates today come in at 6.875 for a bank statement or similar. We also have 1099, P&L, all kinds of different options. But this lowest option is typically a bank statement option, 6.875 rate, final APR 7.196. So we're well within a half a point of a conventional option to go with alternative docs. So if our customers need to do it, we have amazing options. And moving on to our investment properties, lots of flexibility and program options when we get into investment properties. So first up here is our 30-year fixed non-QM alt doc for investment. So again, this would be bank statement or similar, but tons of different options. Lowest rate option comes in today, 7.25, final APR, 7.568. And we'll compare that to our other investment property options. So our government programs are not eligible, so no USDA, VA, or FHA, but we do have our standard agency conventional option for an investment property coming in today, 7.125 rate, final APR, 7.482. So a little bit better than alt doc, but we always recommend our investors out there check out our DSCR, our favorite loan program. DSCR stands for debt service coverage ratio, no income needed, no employment needed. We simply use the estimated rents from the appraisal to determine a DSCR ratio. The estimated rents can cover the expenses, aka the property is going to cash flow monthly. That's a ratio of 1 or higher, which is preferred. For all the demos, we used a ratio of 1.5, so we can see all the programs. Most common program here is a 3-year prepayment penalty, rates as low as 6.75, final APR 7.080. Notice that's better than our conventional option. And our 5-year prepayment penalty option is available for some programs. That brings the rates down to 6.5, final APR 6.810. Which is blowing conventional out of the water here. And we do have our final DSCR option for no prepayment penalty. Some states do not allow a prepayment penalty. Some investors don't want one. That's not a problem. We have rates as low as 7.375, final APR 7.710 with no prepay, which is just a touch higher than conventional. Most investors would typically prefer this, but we always recommend to add a prepayment penalty to really sweeten the rates there. And the final two options we'll go over real quick. Very popular these days as customers often have a first mortgage that is a very low rate mortgage and need to get cash out but don't want to take out that first mortgage. We have our second mortgage options, which are preferred to HELOCs typically because they have a fixed rate and it is much lower than an adjustable rate HELOC. So 30-year fixed second mortgage for a primary home to get cash out comes in today at 8.5, final APR 8.915. And these are non-QM, so we can use bank statements, P&Ls, etc. And the same program to get cash out of an investment property. HELOCs are very rare for investment properties, so a great option here. We can get cash out of an investment property with a second mortgage, rates as low as 9.875, final APR 10.124. So those are some great options. Let me go ahead and get into our topic for today. Is going to be 1099 loans. So when we do our live demo, we typically go with the most common options, right? So what you see there for non-QM is typically a bank statement option, which is the most common, but 1099 options are definitely a nice tool to have. So Jose, let's explain why we would use this compared to a bank statement option first, and then check out some live programs.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us for today's episode of Daily Mortgage Rates Live with the Mortgage Calculator. 1099 is one of our favorite programs. A little bit underused because I think everyone thinks bank statement for self-employed, but borrowers that are self-employed, that are independent contractors that receive a 1099 should really be taking the 1099 income route because with a 1099 program, it's probably the easiest one to qualify the borrower for, as we use 90% of the 1099 value, applying only a 10% expense factor. That is amazing because, you know, most 1099 borrowers, once the dust settles, the net income after expenses, write-offs, and stuff like that is usually a lot less than 90% of the value of the 1099. So they're really getting their money's worth when we can go with the 1099 options. As you all may know, the maximum income that we can get from a bank statement program is 80% of the deposits, a 20% expense factor being the lowest expense factor that we can have for any bank statement program. So off the bat, the 1099 at 90% will blow the doors off of your standard default on a bank statement program, which is 50% of profit or 50% expense factor. because 20% is the lowest, and that's with an accountant letter and underwriting accepting the letter according to the business structure of the self-employed borrower. So you're not guaranteed to get that 80% of the income on bank statements, but pretty much guaranteed to get it on a 1099 program to get the 90%. And as always on these alt doc programs, tax returns are not a requirement. That's a really important point. The only thing you have to provide for a 1099 option loan is a W-2 wage transcript, which will show any W-2s and 1099s issued to the borrower's social security number. So we simply reconcile the 1099 received to the W-2 wage transcript received and make sure that the numbers match, and that's it. No tax returns would be required. Tax returns will only be required if, for whatever reason, the 1099 transcript cannot be pulled up, or if there is a discrepancy in the numbers being reported at that time. Then, unfortunately, tax return route would be the way for that loan. So 1099 is a perfect option for realtors, for example. We love our realtors. Every realtor gets a 1099 from their broker. So do look, for example, for our realtors for the 1099 option. 1099 option is also possible with only 1 year getting 1099s if the borrower was previously doing the same job duty, job type. For example, doctor working as a W-2 employee switches over to 1099. We can do that loan. We're doing one like that right now. Same with you're working as an electrician for a company. You're a licensed electrician. Now all of a sudden you switch over and you're an independent contractor as a licensed electrician for at least a year. We can do that loan too. No need to be 2 years in business, as long as we can follow the same type of job or job duties. So really exciting program here with the 1099. So let's get into our options that I can share with you today. Our lowest down payment option, as with all non-QM loans, is 10% down. And again, like with all non-QM loans, never any mortgage insurance. The mortgage insurance is taken into consideration in the rate, which is a little bit higher. So we're looking here at 9% being our lowest cost option at a cost of 0.75 points. And you can buy that down all the way to 8.125 at a cost of 2.375 points for our 1099 10% down option. Now, second option here, still primary. Now we're at 15% down, and now we see much better rates, right? 8.25 is almost at par, and you can buy that down all the way to 7.625 at a cost of 2.25. This is for our 15% down primary option. And now our 20% down primary option. And again, you see the rates get much lower. 20% down, 80% LTV is more the standard preferred for non-QM. As you see there, 7.375 actually with a lender credit of 0.125. And you can buy that down all the way to 6.75% at a cost of 2.375 points. That is amazing for a 20% down 1099 borrower. Now our last option here for our borrower primary purchase is 20% down with a 600 credit score. Wanting to show you the low credit score option. 11.375 is our lowest cost option at par, and you can buy that down to 10.25% at a cost of 2.375 points for our 600 credit score, 20% down 1099 option. Now our investment property options here, 20% down is our lowest cost option. Lowest down payment option. 7.99 is our lowest cost option there at par. 6.625 lowest rate option, 3.375. Now we have our 600 credit score option for our investment purchase, 20% down as well. 11.375 is our lowest cost option at par. And you can buy that down to 9.75 at a cost of 3.375 for our 600 credit score 1099 option. And actually, we have a 15% down option here. I had them backwards. 8.874 is our lowest cost option with 15% down, which is our lowest down payment for investment properties. And 7.249 is, which is a great rate there for a 15% down. And we love those 15% down investment property loans, which we went over yesterday. And now for some cash out options. So primary cash out, 80% is the maximum LTV. We did not have any 85% cash out options for our 1099 loan. That's where you are going to get possibly a few more options on the bank statement at 85% because it is a little bit more popular. So 8.25 is our lowest cost option at par. And you can buy that down to 7.125 at a cost of 2.25 points for our 80% LTV primary cash out. And 80% LTV is the highest LTV for an investment property cash out refinance as well. And you do see some amazing rates here. 8.499 is our lowest cost option at par. And you can buy that down to 6.999 at a cost of 3.5 points. And you will see here, both of these are 80%, right? A little bit lower cost on the primary, but you will notice on the investment, you can go lower in the rate because we do have a 5-year prepay on this, which does give us some credits. And also on the investment property, our points and fees can go a little bit higher as well. And our 600 credit score, now our last two options here are going to be our lowest credit score option for this product. 600 credit score does still allow us to attain 75% LTV for a primary cash out refi. And you're looking at 11.499 as our lowest cost option at a cost of 1.125 points. And you can buy that down all the way to 10.875 at a cost of 2.375 points for our primary cash out with a 600 credit score. And our last option here, investment cash out refi with a 600 credit score. And you're looking at 11.499 at a cost of 0.875 points. And you can buy that down all the way to 10.25% at a cost of 3.375 points. So amazing options here for 1099 borrowers where we can use 90% of the income shown on the 1099. Make sure that you do first explore this option for your self-employed borrowers to make sure that they receive 1099, because if they do receive a 1099, this will be a much better option for your borrower, unless you're looking to get 85% LTV on a cash out refi on a primary, then you would have to go bank statement.
All right. Thank you, Jose. I don't see any questions here, but definitely a great tool there. Remember, we do this show at 11 a.m. Eastern every morning where we go through the live rates and then do a deep dive into a different loan type. So we will see you tomorrow with a new topic. Appreciate everybody tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern, for the next episode of Daily Rates Live with the Mortgage